All right. This is Orange Pill Podcast. Microdosing, lots of free money today.
Microdosing, free money. Yeah.
So, Joe Biden has announced $1.9 trillion in free money. So, that's why we have the disco ball out again today, because it's like the good days of lots of inflation. Oh, yeah.
Staying alive, staying alive. Oh, 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 staying alive. Yeah, I got my powder blue leisure suit out of storage and my hookah beads. And I think that's what they were called. Wampa beads, hookah beads, some trendy white kind of bead at the time. We got Pong. I got my old Pong set up doing bing, bong, bong, bong. It's all about the 70s. It's fantastico.
Fantastico. I'm going to go over here and look at my other computer, and I'm looking at the microdosing. Lots of free money. $1.9 trillion is about to be printed on behalf of the people by incoming President Joe Biden. Now, this comes on top of the $900 billion that was just approved for the people as well in December. Of course, by the way, you might interpret our analysis of this as some sort of a bitter quality because we just pay for it. We don't actually receive any of it back, just so you know.
No, we're the ones that put up the money. Then the government, it's a transfer payment. We put it up to send it to the DC people. Then they send it out to all these other people. So we're the funding of it. We're the funders. We're the source of funds for these bailouts.
Right. And I want to look at a set of tweets. There was a long tweet stream. I'll just read a few of them from Jason Furman. And he was a member of I think it was like Committee of Economic Advisors to President Obama. So when he was looking at this, so remember, 1.9 trillion plus 900 billion from December. So you have $2.8 trillion about to be printed. That's just the start, right? This is just the first quarter of 2021. And he said about this amount, it is very large. Together with the December legislation, it would be around $2.8 trillion, which is about $300 billion per month for the 9 months it is in effect. For context, in November, GDP was about 80 billion below pre-crisis trend, and compensation was about 20 billion below pre-crisis trend. So the trend is 100 billion down per month. And so what is the government doing? They're printing 3 times that amount, which is interesting because if you look at what happened the day that the day of the election, November 3rd, 2020, Bitcoin was $13,000. Now it's up to 42,000 between, 30 something thousand and 42,000. So it tripled as well. So it kind of like it is the only honest price signal that we have.
Exactly. It is the only honest price signal that we have. The price of Bitcoin reflects the rogue central bank policy of infinite printing. Now, I want to bring something up here. Jeffrey Booth, who we've talked to before, he wrote that book, The Price of Tomorrow. And, he makes the following point that the cost of running the economy, which is now entirely digital, is always crashing towards zero because the basic component of the economy are the technological trifecta of bandwidth, storage, and transmission, right? Those are the 3 parts, the triangle that runs the digital economy. And the cost of all of those things is constantly crashing towards zero. So, and since the entire economy is digital, that equation, that factor, that bit of it is extremely important. So what the Fed is trying to do is they claim they're trying to create inflation because they're worried that there's no inflation. Well, so they're trying to print money to escape, to somehow paper over the fact that the cost of running this digital economy is constantly crashing to zero. And Jeff Booth points out in his book, The Price of Tomorrow, that there's no there's no way to print enough money to bridge the gap to a economy whose cost structure is constantly going to zero. Those two things are never going to come together. They're on two completely separate and parallel tracks. There's no reconciling this. And so we're going to have more money printing because the people in Washington don't understand this. We're going to have more crash in costs. That means that essentially those people who are not benefiting by this are going to be victimized by this. The wealth and income gap will completely blow out and be wider than it's ever been, even under the pharaohs of Egypt. You didn't have this kind of income gap and wealth gap. I mean, this is intergalactically ginormous.
Yeah. And, they're counting on being able to print all this free money without being called out on it because they've already tamed the bond vigilantes. They already tamed the gold bugs. So those two entities, which used to be very powerful at being a checks and balance on the power of the Treasury and the Fed, well, those people are neutered. And what we've had is Bitcoin. And then you notice the ramp up in propaganda about Bitcoin. And many people in the comments are talking about, where's my money? Because, of course, everybody wants their free money. And if they're going to vote for Biden again or vote for Kamala for when she runs in the second term, like, where's my money? They want their money. So in order to be able to print like that, they need to get rid of all the truth tellers, all the truth signals or price signals like Bitcoin. So you saw a lot of propaganda this week. You saw the New York Times publicize. They said the Bitcoin dream is dead, and then they promoted the story about a former guy from Ripple who scammed like hundreds of millions of dollars from normal people and used it to buy Bitcoin or dollars or whatever. Anyway, that he lost like $200 million worth of some Bitcoin. Anyway, and then they also, with these, the riots or protests, the stuff that the people who stormed Capitol Hill this past week, what you saw is that they're now saying, well, these guys were financed by Bitcoin and these people are domestic terrorists, where they're introducing Patriot Act 2.0. And therefore, we need to stop Bitcoin because it's financing right-wing, non-democratic Party members of America.
Yeah, I couldn't be more horrified by the naked propaganda. I mean, we've seen a lot of it in America over the years applied to different political situations, and it was funny. We just saw something recently where it was the biopic of Menkowitz, Herman Menkowitz. And in that film, he wrote the screenplay, co-wrote the screenplay of Citizen Kane. There's a scene where there is in the 30s and there's a depression and people are turning to communism. And so Hollywood is enlisted by folks to put out propaganda and so they will willfully go down the path of propagandizing the situation. And the very famous writer at the time,
Upton Sinclair,
who I believe wrote The Jungle, which was a deep, penetrating look at the meat business, the
meat packing business, which is also now in the news, of course, during COVID, because all of these people were forced to work. That was the one group of people that were by law forced to work, and they all got COVID in these cramped conditions.
Yeah, and I guess he was running for a political office, and he was propagandized and deprived of that opportunity. So this propaganda has been with us, and we've seen it masticulate. Is that even the right word?
Metastasize. Yeah.
And become hugely embedded in our culture. And now it's become a real, genuine threat to the democracy in America. And when it comes to Bitcoin, they're taking on something that they're not going to beat. So Bitcoin is now the new America. During the last century, America was unbeatable. Then America went down the bad path of propagandizing and doing a lot of self-harm. So now Bitcoin is kind of like the new America. It's the new way out. Even Christy Lagarde was saying, Bitcoin is funny money, funny business, and
Funny business.
right, funny business, and it's a way out. It's a way to escape. She admitted this, and
She Well, the thing that everybody noticed was that she said Bitcoin is a way to launder money. It allows all sorts of funny business, and everybody, of course, was focused on that because Deutsche Bank is also like under her purview of regulation, and they continue to commit crime after crime. She herself also was found guilty of fraud and crimes in France, and the point that many missed, and which we talk about on the Full Dose of Orange Pill podcast this weekend on Sunday, we talked to Nick Carter. So we won't go into it too much right now because otherwise you might be bored and skip ahead of that. But because he really talks about it deeply, but she said that Bitcoin is an exit valve. So what they want to do is shut off all your exit valves. I want to say as well that, the fact is that she said Bitcoin is funny business. And in a way, that was the canary in the coal mine was the comedians. The comedians are the first ones that started like 5 or 6 years ago, but especially in 2016, once Hillary suffered that profound, deep, humiliating loss, and then the whole party of the Democrats went hugely authoritarian, and they decided that they must eradicate and re-educate a large part of the population. And the comedians are the first ones that started to say, well, hey, all of that, woke speak and the whole sort of snowflake-like quality to universities. It's not just universities. We're out on the road. We have to go around and performing nightclubs and dodgy bars all over the country. And we're starting to see this everywhere, that people are trying to silence us, and they're getting offended by jokes that aren't about them personally, but they're taking it personally. So it's funny that she mentions funny business because in a way, the whole censorship resistance of Bitcoin will enable that. We're still on layer 1, and now all these layer 2 developments are happening, like with Sphinx Chat, which is similar to this. Like you could start tipping us and Satoshis on that, or you have Scarcity, and they have an auction right now. And speaking of showing your love for us, make sure to go and freaking smash that like. Like, how hard is that? How difficult is it? How much are we asking? It's like, uh, 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 it's not hard to go like.
Jesus. Wow. You put it that way. I feel bad for anyone who's not smashing the like button now.
Oh, yeah.
I'm
going to get my orange shoe. See, this is orange.
Yeah. Take it out.
Smash
Do it.
that
Work
like.
it out. Work it. Work it, babe. Work it. Do it. Hey, comedy is freedom. And free societies have a lot of comedians. And think about the places where you don't find good comedy. Prisons. Nazi Germany. When you squash out the comedy, you squash out the freedom, because a society that can make jokes about itself and others, but primarily about itself, is a society that is confident, and a society that has a lot of confidence. After World War II was the rise of epic comic talents like Lenny Bruce, for example, who...
He was in prison, though, so maybe when he was in prison, there was some comedy there.
He was the funniest thing in prison, Lenny Bruce. And he was able to take comedy to a new level. You got Richard Pryor. Now, Richard Pryor came in the 70s, and he made a lot of jokes that would not be acceptable today.
No, exactly.
He would be deplatformed, and yet he's considered to be a comic genius. You have, of course, Carlin. You have George Carlin, who came up with the 7 words you can't say on TV, who pioneered the college comedy circuit. He forged that way. He did the first HBO comedy special, I believe, laid the groundwork for a huge generation of comedians. He would also be deplatformed and not be allowed to speak today.
Yeah.
So you have to ask yourself, is this healthy for society? And I think the way I would look at it is that America is no longer a confident country. If we had self-confidence, if we had confidence in what we were doing, We really would leave the
Speak it.
comedians alone and let the comedians die on their own bad jokes. That's
Yeah.
the thing about comedy. It's very unforgiving. If you're on stage and you tell a joke that the audience doesn't like, they don't laugh and they don't applaud and you don't get asked back. So that's the thing about comedy. It's like you are a freelance entrepreneur of laughter and you've got to please the audience. And if you don't, you're out. So let the audience decide. The audience is perfectly capable of heckling a comedian, and that's the way it goes. To cut off the comedy from the culture and from the dialogue, from the society, is the sign of a deeply insecure, uh, non-confident, neuroses-ridden, drug-addled society that is not fit to lead the world. That's what you cut the comedy off, and you're saying to the world, we're no longer fit to hold a leadership position in the world. We're bowing out. And that's exactly what's happening. And I don't feel bad about it because I'm sitting on a fuckload of Bitcoin and I can tell Christy Lagarde to go fuck herself every day sideways. As a matter of fact, frickin' Snakeface can come over here right now and I'll tell the exact same thing to her snake face. She's not going to come out and say, oh, Christy Lagarde, I'm going to start globally regulating Bitcoin. Yeah, don't get me started. Don't get me started.
Don't get you started. Don't get you started. Speaking of not fit, if we don't see the likes button, okay.
How many likes now?
It's 197. Once we get to 210, then I'll say, you know what? This audience is fit to listen to us, right?
What? That movie, Cool Hand Luke?
Yes.
There's a famous scene with the prison guard and what's his name? Paul Newman.
Geez. Yes.
And he's out there with a pickaxe. And the prison guard comes over and says, he punches him in the face, basically, and says, what we got here is a failure to communicate. Right? I think they should remake that film. And you could be the prison guard. You come over there, and it's like, except with an orange shoe. Right? It's an orange shoe, and you got a chain gang of people who should be pressing the like button. But no.
They've gone berserk. They've gone over the top now. You guys need to calm down. There's 264 likes now.
I got my control here. I can make the colors change on this ball.
Oh. That would be cool. I actually, before I hit record, I looked into it and I'm still kind of blind. I can't even see ahead of me for more than a few. I'm trying to read the comments and I'm still so blind from looking into the
Don't look into the disco ball.
Don't look into the disco ball.
I got it on high frequency.
Where's my free money? No, that's too disturbing.
All right, too much. We'll go back to this one.
Okay, so I also want to say, you guys are amazing. It's going so hit them likes. We're up at 285. Right. Everybody keeps on saying, "Where's my money?" Who's getting some free money? Because I didn't get any free money, and I feel bitter about it. Maybe I would be pushing free money.
You're a bitter no fiater.
I'm a bitter no free money.
You're bitter no free money. You're bitter no free moneyer.
Bitter no free money. I'm gonna go stand outside. You know how if you ever go out to the White House, I'm sure it's shut down now because we're in the Patriot Act 2.0. But if you ever go to the front of the White House, it's supposed to be a free speech zone. Oh my God. There are the biggest freaks I've ever seen on earth out there. Totally. And we could go there and just do a live podcast and say, "Where's my free money, Biden? Where's my free money?"
I'm out here right now with my free money. They have in front of the White House that plaza where people are protesting and whatnot. They have that robot man who wears a gold robot suit. Now, if you ever travel around, you see these guys dressed up like robots and they stand still and they, they're supposed to be artists in some way and people throw money at them. This is the worst robot man you've ever seen in your life. First of all, he never shuts up. He's never standing still. He's just casually standing around in the stupid robot suit, hectoring people. And then occasionally somebody will throw him a quarter and he'll be like, "Oh, thanks, man. That's fantastic."
And he broke his act, right? You like a robot's not supposed to talk like that.
Right.
Like,
That's the
hey, bro,
worst.
thanks. And you're like, no, you're not supposed to talk, robot.
Yeah, exactly. It's like Marceau suddenly breaking off into a Shakespearean soliloquy in the middle of his mime. It's like, you're a mime, dude. Shut the fuck up. Okay. Let the Shakespeare guy do the Shakespeare thing. You just do the mime thing. Okay. We don't need you to be talking and, hello, I am Marceau, and I am a mime.
Right. I'll get to that in a moment. Everybody wants to know your thoughts on Elon Musk and Robert Breedlove talking. But I do want to say, I know we noticed something, Max and I noticed something in the past few weeks, because there's this new Finnish TV series called Dead Wind in English. I forget what the name is in Finnish. And one thing we realized is that Max always makes fun of me for the past few years. Like, it's been a long-term thing where he says, I always say, okay, okay. I say okay all the time, too often.
Yeah.
And then, like, it's so distracting to watch this Finnish series because everybody keeps on saying, okay, 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 okay. Like, everything, like, that's part of the dialogue in all of these, like, police crime procedure. It's like, okay, okay. This person just had their head cut off and their feet are in the river. Okay, okay. Everything is okay. And I'm like, well, maybe I picked this up in childhood with
no doubt.
My great grandmother.
And there it was on this TV show.
Okay.
All these Finnish people saying, okay, okay, okay. And I'm like, oh, okay. I see where this all comes from now. I know what it's all about.
They're nonstop saying okay. Right. So before we get to the Elon Musk and Robert Breedlove, I also want to say cypherpunknow.com, which makes this poster. And, everybody has gone crazy for it. It might get a reflection in the light if I do that. But the thing is, like, people have gone berserk for it. So I think he's sold out of this one, but he has other artwork and he might have to do a new print of this because he does limited edition stuff. So cypherpunknow.com, he has amazing stuff. We also have another piece up there, but it does have
women. It triggers people.
Well, no, it triggers the algorithms. Like, that's how part of the reason why when I got kicked off Facebook was that there was a photo in the background, a painting in the background of one of my photos in Miami, whereby you could see a woman's breast. And that triggers all the algorithms. They definitely don't want to see women's breasts for some reason. That's why we need Renaissance 2.0, because remember, that was also like in the Dark Ages where the Renaissance painters found all of the ancient Greek and ancient Roman sort of art celebrating the human body. They had the many gods, and the human form was celebrated as like godlike.
Right.
And now
Da Vinci came up with the parallax man.
I think it's Vitruvian man.
Vitruvian man. That's close.
He solved a problem that had been around for quite a long time. Nobody could figure it out.
How to get a woman to agree. What did he solve?
You had to be in a perfect circle and the perfect shape of a human man.
Yeah.
Like to fit the arms to the edge of the circle and the legs. And he figured out a way to do it that nobody else had done before.
Right. Well, the pursuit of perfection is an interesting idea because it's something that has been with us for the entirety of civilization. And up until Bitcoin, we had never found perfection. Bitcoin, in my view, is perfection. It's perfect money, but that means a lot more than just the stuff you have in your pocket. Perfect money extends into all kinds of realms of thought, and it is perfection. So this is Renaissance 2.0 is about solving Renaissance 1.0. They were seeking perfection. The Mona Lisa, some will say, oh, it's perfect because this, and this, or Da Vinci has created something that's masterfully perfect in this way or that way, but it's not really perfect. Whereas Bitcoin is perfect.
Right. Well, who's asking questions about Bitcoin and seeking out, and, he's in the whole space industry and stuff like that, where numbers and mathematics matter. You have to, you can't just send a rocket ship out without knowing quite for sure, like it's not going to blow up or it's going to hit the destination. And that's Elon Musk. And he was being he was being orange pilled by Robert Breedlove, who also is part of swanbitcoin.com. So what did you think of that conversation that happened?
Yeah, it's remarkable. It's, I'm a smart guy. If
you don't say so yourself.
I'm a smart guy. But, because of Bitcoin, I'm now watching people that are like super smart, like the mega brains. Like Elon Musk is an engineering genius. He is like a Da Vinci character. Hear him on Joe Rogan just riff on engineering problems that he could solve in his head. Like, oh, well, actually, to create energy for the world, you just simply need to put this here, divide by that. Blah, 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 blah. It's like Buckminster Fuller on acid. So then, you've got Elon Musk who's sniffing around Bitcoin
I
at the
thought you were going to
moment.
say sniffing glue.
He's sniffing glue.
He's
So there's
sniffing
Elon
Bitcoin
Musk
glue.
with a paper bag and a tester's airplane glue. And he's like getting high as fuck, right? And he's totally lost his mind. And there's Robert Breedlove, the soberest guy in the world, who's like, look, Elon, you got to look at it this way. There's gold and then there's fiat. Now with gold, you can move value through time, right? Because you can buy gold today, and 100 years from now, people will still accept your gold. It's good. It's happened like that for thousands of years. The gold they find in a pirate ship under the ocean 500 years ago, they can go out to the 7-Eleven and buy a Slurpee right now. It goes through time. And then fiat money, it's not good. It doesn't move over time because every single fiat money that's ever existed has gone to zero or lost 99% of its purchasing power. So fiat money doesn't move through time, but it moves through space.
But it also, it doesn't, well, for example, I just topped up my Fold app card, right? And to do that, I have to send cash, fiat, from my bank to the Fold app.
Yeah.
I kept on checking every day, every day, every day, every day. It's not there. It was saying pending, pending, pending. That is how it doesn't travel well through time. It took like 5 freaking days. Everybody, I only transferred $250 at first. It has to be sent to the Treasury. It has to be sent to the CIA, NSA. Is this like an illegal? Who's she going to spend this on? Where's it going to go? We want to know what she's going to do with her money. And it's just like, it takes forever. It's such a joke.
Bien sûr, as Christine Lagarde would say. Oui,
Oh, no,
bien
it's not.
sûr. With fiat money, though, you can move it through space. You can put a few $100 in your pocket, and you can drive across America, and it's easy to move it through space. But
Yes.
it doesn't move through time, right? So Bitcoin, actually, you can move it through time and space. It's an absolute scarcity like gold, and it's on your phone, and you can spend it like fiat. So these two things are merged into perfect money. So that's the point Robert Breedlove is making to Elon Musk. And the last I checked on this thread, Elon Musk said had some remark about that.
Only Chuck Norris can divide by zero.
Yeah. Only Chuck Norris can divide by zero. Okay, very clever, very pithy. Bravo. He's flexing his engineering muscles there. It's a flex, right? He's flexing like, look, dude, Tesla stock's going up more than Bitcoin. Have you noticed? Like, you should sell your Bitcoin and buy Tesla stock because it's outperforming Bitcoin. That's what's going on in Elon Musk's mind. Like, Bitcoin, Schmidtcoin, I've got my stock. It's going up like 400% or 800% in the last year and a half.
Yeah, but he has like $190 billion, or at least it was at one point. I don't know. The stock is up and down. But the point is, like Michael Saylor said, it's a melting ice cube, right? Because that's the point, is once you have that sort of money, it's way harder to keep it than to make more money. Like that's what family offices get worried about or get concerned about, is that. But I do want to turn back to the Vitruvian Man, because Bitcoin is like that equivalent, as you were saying. Like, the Mona Lisa isn't perfect, and Da Vinci himself, Leonardo, would say that himself. Like, he kept on trying to fix it and make it more perfect. But the Vitruvian Man is just like, Bitcoin was birthed out of dozens of attempts to create essentially Bitcoin. There were many cypherpunks who were working towards something. Well, Vitruvian Man as well, many well-known famous artists tried to solve this situation. So I just want to read quickly some of the Wikipedia. The Vitruvian Man, originally known as something in Italian, which I would have to have Giacomo Zucco pronounce for me. But the proportions of the human body, according to Vitruvius, is a drawing made by the Italian polymath Leonardo da Vinci in about 1490. It is accompanied by notes based on the work of the Roman architect Vitruvius. the drawing represents Da Vinci's concept of the ideal human body proportions, and many say that it's actually based on him. Like this is that his actual.
He is supposed to be quite a looker.
It's a selfie, essentially.
It's a selfie.
It's a perfect selfie. The drawing represents Da Vinci's concept of the ideal human body proportions. Its inscription in a square and a circle comes from a description by the ancient Roman architect Vitruvius in Book 3 of his treatise De Architecture. Yet it has been demonstrated, Leonardo did not represent Vitruvius' proportions of the limbs, but rather included those he found himself after measuring male models in Milan. While the drawing is named after Vitruvius, some scholars today question the appropriateness of such a title. So he put, everybody tried to fit it into the circle, but it didn't work. It never worked, and the legs were too short or whatever. Yeah. He put a square within the circle and then fit it to the square.
He kept measuring male models until he solved this puzzle. And it took a while, but Da Vinci was on a quest. I'm going to measure these male models until I figure this damn Vitruvian mess out.
Right. Well, I thought that was interesting. We like to teach you a little bit of Renaissance history. Really, I'm teaching myself. I like to learn about these things and try to think, like we say, like that's why I taught you about Sisu, like just concepts in other cultures that introduce you to different ways of thinking. One thing I was talking about this week is I like in the Arab cultures, when you arrive anywhere, they say marhaba, which I like. I love that because it means welcome. It's like it's an interesting way of greeting somebody. Not like, hey, how you doing? Hello.
That's very welcoming. It's the most welcoming society in the world.
Yeah.
People who, a couple of people have taken trips where they're walking across Afghanistan or walking across some Arab nations, and they're pretty much welcomed with open arms. People welcome them into their homes, and it's a very, very ingratiating and welcoming culture and society as part of their religion. And I also like that word in Arabic. The only one I really got to know was Inshallah.
Inshallah.
Inshallah. Yeah, well, I say it my way, and you say it your way. Okay. It means God willing, I believe.
Yes, it means God willing. I also love I actually love that. Like, people always say, like, that's not the way the word is pronounced. Like, even though Paris is pronounced like the French pronounce Paris differently than we do. But if I could and not be considered a cultural appropriation, I love the way Arabs pronounce that double L. Like, because when we were interviewing Saif Dean recently, and then afterward we were chatting to him for a bit, and he mentioned Abdullah. I was like, I wish I would love to say it like that and not be accused of being like,
we're right back on the Nile River with that.
Yeah.
That was cool. Saif Dean, that Arabic accent comes through. The director of Kaiser Report also speaks Arabic. Sometimes we listen to him because he's of extraction from multiple cultures, I believe.
Yeah. No, he went to university in Egypt for a while.
Right.
He has a funny story because he and his brother, their father was Turkish. And he and his brother went to, I guess they crossed the border in Cyprus, the Turkish Cyprus. And they were like all excited. They were like, hey, guess what? We're Turkish too. We have a Turkish passport they just got. The older brother got arrested because he was supposed to do military time.
All right.
And he was like, wait, I wouldn't have bragged about it if I'd known.
Oops,
my bad. Here, have your passport back.
Yeah, I said Turkish taffy.
So with this money that they're printing up, where's my money?
Jesus.
Right? People are asking about my hair too. Like they're
what about
it? That's the primary consideration. And they also are kind of upset, it seems like, that I haven't had tequila. But you know what? Those are all our Mexican friends. If you want to show up within the next 20 minutes with a bottle of tequila and some Cointreau and lime, I'll be here.
Send in the drones.
This free money. This is Jason Furman, that tweet stream. I'm going to read you another tweet that he said out of the hope and wishes that their fingers are crossed that this doesn't cause chaos, right? So they're printing up this $2.8 trillion, and then there's going to be more. And remember our recent guest, Preston Pish. Remember he said that when they print this money, because this is coming from the Treasury, So what they're going to have to do, what the Fed has to do to counteract that effect on the yield curve, they're going to have to do more QE, right? So this new the 2.8 trillion for the people will have to be met by more printing for the bankers. So here's Jason Furman talking about this 2.8 trillion. Again, remember, it's 3 times as much money per month as has been lost because of the pandemic. So he says, from a top-down perspective, advocates of stimulus often point to multipliers like 1.5 or higher. So, that's like the money multiplier in America is really low right now. It's below 1. For every like $5 they print, there's $1 of economic activity, because mostly it goes to the bankers, right? And they just hoard it. So here they're saying, if you give it to the people, like it's a higher money multiplier. So with a stimulus to the ordinary person, it's 1.5 or higher. In this case, however, because it's so much, the hope has to be that the multiplier is much lower. Otherwise, this would bring us way past what the economy can produce this year. That's the disco ball 70s. None of you young people out there know what we, Generation X and boomers, went through. We remember this.
Yeah, so they're admitting failure from the beginning. And so they can pretty much expect failure. The money multiplier. So they're saying, let me walk through the math again, because I just want to make sure I understand what's being said here.
So they're saying that most academics, like Paul Krugman is an academic, say that stimulus checks, if you give stimulus checks to ordinary people, obviously we're not ordinary because we don't get stimulus checks, but we're extraordinary people. Anyway, if you give it to the people, the money multiplier is 1.5. So if you give them $1,000, it'll be worth $1,500 to the economy, to GDP growth.
Right. So because the rate at which it flows through the economy,
because they spend it,
and then person who's taking it from the person who's spending it is going out and spending it.
Yes.
Right. So that's that big virtuous circle,
yeah,
as they call it. And you see that all the time in fractional reserve banking. Works because the fraction that is on the bank, it goes to another bank, and that's called the velocity of money. So I guess we could say that they're saying that the velocity of money at that rate is for every dollar, they get 1.5 uptick in velocity, I believe is another way to say that, right?
Yes.
Okay.
But the problem is, as he's pointing out subtly there is no economic activity. We don't have manufacturing happening. There are no new services. All the restaurants are closed. Hairdressers are closed. So where does all this money go? Right.
Right.
Well, it chases anything that's available. And in fact, most of what is available now, remember, all of our spending on services has collapsed. We no longer spend on haircuts, restaurants, rent, because there's a rent moratorium that's now being extended to May 1st. So nobody has to spend on rent. So you have all that money, plus you have the free government money. Where does it go? China, right? Because China's open. China just reported the first death in, I think, 8 months because of COVID.
Mm-hmm.
So they're open. And all that shipping coming across, like there's not enough ships to send the stuff from China to here, because people are like trying to buy whatever they can because they have all this free money and you want to spend it, right? And you're bored in your home and whatever. So
Right.
That's what he's afraid of. That's what economists always say is like, the problem with printing money is you need as much goods and services. You need as much productive capacity to absorb it, because otherwise it's going to cause high inflation.
Right. Okay. So the economy has come to a dead stop. And so you're pumping formaldehyde into a corpse. You got a corpse, you're pumping formaldehyde into it, and it's leaking on the floor. And it's running off into China's pockets, essentially.
Yes.
So they're just pumping money to increase the trade imbalance.
Pump it up. Pump it up.
It's going to China. And because there is no economic activity here in the U.S. that would benefit from an infusion of liquidity. It's interesting. There's another dynamic at play here, because if the economy is humming along and there is this equation of multiplicity of money at work, and entrepreneurs are being entrepreneurs, you have a tension between both inflation and deflation. And deflation would be like, I just got the I guess 6 pair of these spectacles, reading glasses, for $17. And that's the result of deflation because, when I was back in the 70s, you'd have to go to the optometrist, then you make the order, then they go grind the glass and you pick them up, but 2 weeks later and it's $40 or $50. And here it's all, $17. I get 6 pair of these spectacles for shipped to my home. And so there's deflation that comes with market efficiency, entrepreneurialism, and inflation is the product of a dead economy. Like in the 70s, we had stagflation, because the economy had come to a screeching halt when oil prices skyrocketed, and there was not much you can do about it. But prices started to go up wildly. Stagflation ensued. So it gets back to that Jeff Booth thing. The cost of this digital economy is crashing to zero, and you can't fix that with printing money. So he's saying this essentially in his way.
He's saying it in his way, and just like fingers crossed that, like, he celebrates it. This is the final tweet I read. This package would be the largest response the United States has ever undertaken to an economic crisis. Together with the December bill and the subsequent rebuilding package would be larger than CARES. It is more than anywhere else in the world. So this is unprecedented, right? And again, like, you just feel like the markets are at all-time highs. Jeff Bezos is worth $200 billion. Elon Musk is worth $200 billion. Like, it just seems insane that we're pumping all of this money into there, and Bitcoin is telling us something. That it's telling them, it's telling us, it's telling you that this is extreme, unnecessary, but maybe, this is kind of the thing that happens right before death, right? If this is 50 years, remember, we elected somebody. I think things like this happen for a reason. So we elected a guy who was elected. He first was elected to Congress in 1971, in that election season. So November of 1971, he took office in 72. Of course, we went off the U.S. dollar went off the gold standard in August of 1971. So 3 months later, Biden was elected. Then he took office in 72 when it was officially, everything was gone. It was all US dollar standard globally. Now, 50 years later, 50 years, the guy has been in power, 50 years. Like, so he's a visual representation, the embodiment of 50 years of an all fiat world, right? Like cognitive decline, kind of just, he doesn't have any new ideas. Like, it's all, more war. Where's my money? Here's your money. Here, have this money. So, I mean, these are just like rot and decay, right? This is the rot and decay. And, our guest Alistair McLeod on Kaiser Report doesn't think the dollar will even survive to August, which I think is pretty extreme. I mean, that's going to be crazy if that happens.
Yeah, and he's pretty low-key reasonable guy. He does a pretty radical thing, but he's got it's backed up by a lot of hard research and hard facts. And I just can't see this working because of the simple reason that they could print $100 trillion tomorrow, but the economy would still be in a massive deflation because it's a digital economy that's massively deflating due to everything is written about in that book, the price of tomorrow, right? It's like they're using fiat money to solve a digital networking problem. They're fighting. This is a classic rearguard action. It's like, people fighting in World War II. It started, or World War I, I should say. It started on horseback, and it ended with airplanes. That happened in just 4 years. And the people, by the end of that war, the people with the airplanes were, beating the people who were still fighting it on horseback. And, here they're fighting Bitcoin with technology that's 300 years old. It's really started, you could say, with the Bank of England in 1694. That was kind of like the modern central banking era. It's 300 years old. And the Bitcoin is now leapfrogged into the next century, and they're fighting it with that technology that's 300 years old, and predictably it's not going to work. It's not even going to come close to working. And this is why the price of Bitcoin, I mean, this is the greatest thing about the number go up technology, is that you can Christine Lagarde can say anything she wants about Bitcoin, but if the price goes to 50, 60, 100, $200,000 per coin, no one's going to be listening to Christine Lagarde. She will have no audience. To simply, just like at some point, nobody listens to Peter Schiff anymore. At some point, nobody listens to Paul Krugman anymore. At some point, nobody listens to Nouriel Roubini anymore. At some point, nobody's going to listen to Christine Lagarde. They're just not going to get any hearing at any venue anywhere, because everyone's going to be buying Bitcoin and living the Bitcoin life, living the orange pill life. They will have been orange pilled. They will have watched this podcast. They will have watched everything that Max and Stacy do. They see Max and Stacy living the Bitcoin life, and they're like, why can't I live the Bitcoin life? Well, you can live the Bitcoin life. All you need is one Satoshi, and you're in the Bitcoin stratosphere. That's all you need to take part in the Bitcoin life. It's so easy. You smash the like button. You go over to Swan Bitcoin. You get some Bitcoin for like $10. Smash the smash buy, and you're living the Bitcoin lifestyle.
The smash buy on swanbitcoin.com is $100 minimum to smash buy. So, that's the way to go. You got to start smash buying every time it crashes. It likes to crash, and some people call it a crash, like I just did. I was just mimicking those other people, but what it really is a gift. That's what Bitcoin does to you. Bitcoin cares about you. Bitcoin says
it does.
Usually while you're sleeping, right? Like there was a period of like 10 days where every night at like 3 a.m. there was a big, huge dip, let's call it that. And then it was back to normal by the time I woke up at like 6. So I would just I would kind of get furious that I missed that.
I heard that rattling around, that I heard that something going on. I mean, I heard noises in the house. I'm like, oh, Bitcoin must be showing a great buy opportunity. Stacy is smash buying.
Smash that buy. Smash that buy. That's what I was doing.
I come in and there's Stacy smash buying. Smash, smash, smash. And she uses the orange shoe to smash buy at Swan Bitcoin.
Fees on Swan Bitcoin are under 1%. 0.99% is what it is.
Yeah.
But you have to be in America. Right now, they're only open to Americans. Again, because of the problem that Robert Breedlove identified to Elon Musk about the problem with the dollar and the difficulty in traveling from place to place. The time element to it is all the regulations across, it's very difficult to go to send money across borders. And Elon's, by the way, a guy not only has multiple nationalities and passports, but he does business all over the world, and he's heading to Mars. So why does he want something like the
You can't take gold to Mars.
You can't
take fiat to Mars. You think Martians accept greenbacks?
No way.
No, the Martians only take Bitcoin. That's a proven fact.
Oh, we have over 1,000 live viewers. Yay!
Some of those
Everybody
are
smash that like. Smash that like.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Martians. If the Martians start watching this show,
yeah,
I think we'll be the first intergalactic. Well, I guess Mars is in our galaxy, right?
Yeah. Well,
interplanetary Bitcoin hit show.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to, but now I'm already like past that. Now that I said intergalactic accidentally, I want another galaxy watching us.
Andromeda, the Andromeda galaxy.
Yeah.
That's, I think, the nearest galaxy to the Milky Way is the Andromeda.
Yeah. I think we can make it
through a wormhole, we could be there in 5 minutes probably.
What's up with Elon Musk? Like, why doesn't he develop a wormhole? Like, instead of this, like, what's that technology? The boring company.
Yeah.
Like, create a wormhole. They just seem so boring. It seems so analog. Like, who cares about a hole in the ground? Let's go put a hole in space.
A giant pneumatic tube for people. Well, that's old school. That's boring. Like, create a wormhole, dude.
Yeah, because did you see that story this past week? Maybe he's working on something. Did you see that a black hole has gone missing?
I did see that. What does that mean?
It's a black hole at the center of our galaxy, I think it is, or maybe another galaxy. A black hole has gone missing. You know how every galaxy has a black hole at the center of it. So maybe that galaxy is about to collide with us, or they found a wormhole, or who knows? Like it could be maybe Bitcoin sucked in everything. Like they kept printing so crazy, and like it caused the black hole to suck them in and disappear.
You know what I say to that? Hard wink from the simulation.
It could be a hard wink from the simulation.
Yeah, it's like one of those moments, when the cat walking backwards, where you realize, this is a freaking simulation. All this is one big hologram. I'm trapped in a Bitcoin mining phantasmagoria by Fluffy Pony.
Where's my wormhole? They're asking.
Where's my wormhole? Where's my wormhole? Christy Lagarde, where's my wormhole? She could think that might be a rude comment.
There used to be a story, speaking of this where's my money and all these bad debts and all these rent moratoriums and stuff like that, the whole nationalization of the U.S. economy. It started back in 2008 when you had the nationalization of all the student debts, and then you had the nationalization of the mortgage market, and now you have the nationalization of the rental market and all sorts of crazy stuff, right? So there used to be a thing that we covered a long time ago about in Japan, and they had these guys who specialize in disappearing you. So like if you got too much debts, and I guess in their culture, they're like they they're not like in America where we're all like, I went bankrupt, I'm not gonna pay you. Like, look, that's Donald Trump, right? There they have it's humiliating. It's considered humiliating. So they just like disappear overnight. They pay somebody, I forget the name of it, but they pay these people who give them a new identity, take them to a different location, and they skip out in their debts. Like that could be a way, like just like abandon Earth, like leave all the bad debts here for whoever occupies it next. Like some aliens might come across Earth and like, hey, look, we found a new planet, and then like the debt collectors come after them and like, dudes, like we just like happened to fall. Like these aren't our debts.
No, heck no. It's like, hey, Mr. Watanabe, we're gonna disappear you right now. Here's some chopsticks and wasabi. Have a nice trip. And then he goes into the wormhole. He comes out a Bitcoin billionaire, and he's having drinks with Elon Musk. I mean, what could be better than that? Hello, anybody?
Well, I'm just reading a compliment.
What's going on?
Somebody's saying, Stacy, you are looking great as usual. The queen, beautiful, intelligent, sexy as hell. Thank you.
Well, he took the words right out of my mouth. Wow.
I didn't actually, I tell you for real, like I think I blinded myself with the disco ball, and like I'm wondering if that gives me some free money. Like I might want to write to Biden and say, where's my free money? I looked into a disco ball and I'm blind now.
Yeah, I got a disability, Biden. I looked into the disco ball and I can't see anymore. I need some free money. I need some of that free money. Where's my money?
That should be a good way to get. That should be an excuse. Why not? Like, why not? Yeah. Why don't I get any free money for looking into a disco ball?
Yeah, darn it.
Smash that like button. Hey, Max, how come you never do Alex Jones anymore? Well, I think because we're doing like, how much more do you want from Max? He does a microdose. He does a full dose. Now we're about to do the daily dose. Go to orangepilldailydose.com and you're going to get a daily newsletter.
Right.
Plus we do Kaiser Report, 3 Kaiser Reports. Plus we do Swan Lounge. Plus, like, we're all over the place. We're here. We don't want to overexpose Max unless it's his legs.
No, well, also that every time I go on the show, I remind him that he refused 10,000 Bitcoin gift from me at $1 back in 2012. And he told me, like, stop reminding me of that. And I said, I'm never going to stop reminding you of that. And so he doesn't invite me on anymore. And I see David McWilliams, who runs a podcast in Ireland now, was saying, oh, Max should come back on the show. He lost our original interview we did in Buenos Aires, Argentina, I believe, because I was talking smack against Paul Krugman, one of his heroes.
Well, also, to defend David McWilliams, because I do all the editing of our audio content, our video content, and stuff like that. Digital stuff goes missing. It like fails to open, like it gets corrupt, files get corrupt. It's one of the most stressful things is the fear that your digital files will just become corrupted. It happens less often these days, I have to say, but back in the early days of the internet, but also like in the times of Bitcoin when we were first doing stuff, like the computers weren't very powerful back then compared to what we have now. So I'm just going to I'm going to play devil's advocate and say that he didn't like intentionally lose it because you were dissing Paul Krugman, but that he might have just like, you're in Buenos Aires. What do you do in Buenos Aires? Well, you go out to dinner like at 11 freaking p.m., right? And you have a lot of Malbec and other things and lots of steak. And maybe he just like left your podcast episode at some restaurant or something.
David Williams can bite my shillelagh stick.
McWilliams. Who's
David McWilliams. What's his name? McWilliams?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
He's Irish.
David.
There would be no Irish person called David Williams. That's like a British name. Like Mick. They've got to put Mick in front of everything. You would be Mick Kaiser.
David O'Shea McWilliams can bite my shillelagh stick. That's what I have to say to him. I'm never going on your dodgy podcast ever because you insulted Max Kaiser. You've insulted everybody who believes in Max Kaiser and the Bitcoin phenomenon. You are a discredit to the Blarney Stone.
You need to get past that, move past that. So we're going to start wrapping it up. I'm pretty impressed that this has 1,050 live viewers. So people are looking for their Bitcoin. Hey, we didn't even talk about the Bitcoin price. What is it?
I don't look at the price. I just feel it vibrating in my plums. I feel Bitcoin in my plums. I'm mining Bitcoin in my plums.
Whatever happened to that whole movement of people like sunbathing their perineum?
Oh, that was huge. I did it for a while, but then I burnt my butthole pretty badly and I stopped doing it. This was during August, when it was like 105 degrees. I thought, hey, let's suntan my perineum. I'm out there naked, holding my butthole up to the sun. Next thing you know, it's scorching my anus. That's not fun.
Jesus Christ.
That's not fun. I don't know how that fad got started. I think it was a hoax, but I fell for it.
Well, yeah.
No, but that guy, Aurelius Timerius, he's on Twitter talking about eating beef liver all the time.
Yeah.
He's always saying, men got to go out and sun their balls.
No, he did.
Yeah, he does. He does. He says that's the number one thing to boost your testosterone and health for men. You need to go out and sun your balls. That's the number one rule. This guy, Aurelius Titanian, over there on Twitter with the beef liver extract.
That's like my story about, communicating with Fartface 2000.
What about Fartface 2000?
You don't take advice. My uncle, who was a detective, tells me don't take advice from people named Fartface 2000, and you shouldn't take advice from somebody named Carnivore Aurelius. Like maybe
he's got a lot of followers. He wouldn't have a lot of followers and be on Twitter if he wasn't saying good stuff, would he? So, I moved from one part of the anatomy to the testicles, and it's been better. I found great strength in this program he's got me on. Eating beef liver crisps and sunning my testicles has been fantastic.
You're grossing out all the guys in the audience.
I'm not. They're all saying, right on, bro. We're men, and we're not going to be ashamed of it. We've got testicles. That's what makes us men, damn it. And you're not going to make us feel bad for that. That's life. That's what got it. That's what Satoshi intended. Men are men. Thank Satoshi. Am I right? Men? Do I get a hallelujah?
Women also sunbathe.
Have testicles?
Yes, they also sunbathe their testicles.
They have ovaries. That's different.
No, in the new world, women could also sunbathe their testicles. So
Jesus, I've been wondering about that. This solves a lot of questions I've been having. Jesus. My God. Whoa.
Right.
Well,
a lot of men agree with you that testicles or balls, whatever you want to call them, they get sunburnt easily. I don't know how.
I'll tell you a story.
Oh my God.
Okay. This is.
Is it going to gross everybody out?
No. Well, maybe. So I was a kid and I was at the swimming pool. And.
Is it a public swimming pool?
No, it's not. It's
your own swimming pool.
No, it was at the country club, of course.
Oh dear God. Fucking hell. Max and his posh.
We were at the country club.
Stuff.
We were at Westchester Country Club, to be exact, where they do play one of the tournaments on the professional golfing, so the LPGA. Is that what it's called? The PGA, Professional Golfing Association. There is a PGA tournament at the Westchester Country Club golf course. We're very proud of that at the club. Okay. So anyway, they got the the main golf course, golf main club. Then there's the beach club out in Rye, New York, near Playland, and it's also right near where the guy from that show Mad Men lived in the show
Oh
Mad Men.
yeah, in that series Mad Men.
Right.
So
So
Don Draper.
Don Draper
and his
lived
wife.
out
They lived in Rye.
right. That's where Playland is. That's where Westchester Country Club is. So anyway, so we're at the beach club one day, and I was like 7 years old, and I'm walking by the this deck, on the pool there, and I noticed that this guy who's lying on his back with a towel on his head. Okay, one of his testicles.
That's gross. I don't think we need to hear.
No, it's not that gross. So it was exposed, right? It was like his bathing suit hadn't covered this thing, right? So you're looking at this, and it looks like it's getting sunburned, right? So
did you tell him?
No. So the thing about being kids, of course, you're like, oh, this is going to be interesting. Let's see what happens. So like every hour or so, me and my buddies would be like, let's go see how that guy's testicle is still being scorched, right? So we're going by there, and throughout the next few hours, it's just getting redder and redder, and this is going to be a huge problem, and it does get kind of weird from there, but I don't think we need to go into details.
Cool story, bro. Cool story. Max is like turning into Stacy, doing cool stories of long stories that he laughs before the punchline. I have a really bad problem with that. Like I laugh so hard before the punchline.
Why is that?
I don't know, but I wish I could stop it. But that's why I just gave up trying to tell jokes, because it just
that's not true.
Okay.
You haven't given up trying to tell jokes.
Okay.
You still try.
Okay.
Just like a Finnish person.
Okay.
What's the name of this show? Dead Wind?
This show is called Microdose.
No, the show with the Finnish cops.
The Dead Wind.
Yeah, Dead Wind, right? You got these two Finnish cops, right?
Karpi and Nurmi.
Yeah, Karpi and Nurmi.
That's like my great grandmother and her sister, like Impi and Lempi.
Yeah, Impi and Lemmy. And then they got, Lemmy is from Motorhead. Lemmy is the lead singer from Motorhead. He's dead.
Yes, he died I think he was like playing a video game, and he just died.
He died, the way
having fun,
the way he lived his life, playing a video game. So you got these Finnish cops, right? And it's a ripoff of that other show from the Danish TV show, which was about a female cop.
Border Town or something. Like, yeah.
She's obsessed.
There's a bunch of those dark, gloomy.
Yeah, dark, gloomy Northern European.
And when they redid it and set it in America, they had to pretend the woman was autistic because otherwise it didn't make sense. The whole
you never understand a Northern European woman, right? So they had to make it like, oh, she's autistic. So yeah, so they had the Danish one where it was riveting. We saw the seasons, and it's like, it's just production values are very high. She was a brilliant actress, and it's a riveting show. So this is like the Finnish ripoff, and they use the same music bed, to segue from scenes.
That's
true. They use some of the same like compositions and shots, these overhead shots, these long shots. So Finland, one thing I tell you about Finland from watching this show, it's a lot of fucking snow. All right. There's like snow.
It's just like all like very few trees. They do cut down all their trees.
There's a lot of trees. They have the very popular finished poplar, I believe it's called.
Yeah, they have a big lumber industry.
Yeah, they've got a lot of trees. I was in Finland in 1976. I played in the hockey tournament in Finland, and nevertheless, so this show, and like every scene in this show, these two cops, Larky and Moki, are usually trapped in a basement somewhere, and it's really gloomy, and there's no lighting, and they're knocking around, and it's all very industrial. And of course, because everything is on the seaside, they're always like on a boat, getting off a boat. Here's a boat. Oh, it's another shot. We're at the port. Here's a cargo ship. Here's another boat. It's a boat. It's a boat. More snow, and here's a boat. And we're searching with flashlights in some dark cavernous, underbelly of the caves underneath whatever, because there's a boat and there's more snow.
And they walk right into traps. Like they're just like, hey, I'm just going to go drive here in the middle of the night because I can't sleep. I'm going to go look at this. I suspect this guy, and I'm going to break into his house. Like they also, like, that's really interesting because in U.S. crime procedures, like, we have all these laws against like illegal search and seizure. Like a cop can't just walk into your house. They do that all the time. They just like Jimmy the lock
they just walk
open
right in.
just break in. And you're like, wait, isn't that illegal?
There's no laws against it, apparently.
Apparently not.
The cops can just walk in. There's no laws against, what do they call it? Invasive.
Illegal search and seizure.
Illegal
You need a warrant in the United States. I've never seen them apply for a warrant in the show. Like that's always half the drama in any U.S. crime procedure.
Get the judge up. It's sleeping.
How are we going to get a warrant for this? How do we know he's got his weapons in there. We know it. Like we know he's got the woman he abducted in there, but we need a warrant.
Right. And here in Finland, they don't need warrants. The cops just
like,
walk in.
They take a steel bar and like break open the door.
Right.
And you're like, dude.
Like, hey, dude, we brought you some fresh fish and a crowbar to your skull. Nice. Have a nice day. Oh, by the way, and they keep walking into these traps. It's like the plotting is even more predictable than the old Batman TV show. Where they would always find the Riddler or the Joker or something. They walk right into it. So, but nevertheless, it is entertaining to see Helsinki. I like seeing these European cities.
The first episode or two, they did have a sauna in there. They mentioned the sauna, but we haven't seen any since.
Right.
And the script writer gets paid a lot to write okay.
Right.
And then but that's it's interesting. I like that Netflix does a good job. Like we're watching Lupin,
yeah.
And they do a pretty good job like dubbing it into English, even though they're speaking French.
They have a CGI for the lips then make it look like they're speaking English.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
But because the thing that's interesting about it that you realize is that French people speak differently. Like their lips their lips are always like this, right?
Right.
Like when they're talking.
They're always sucking on a lemon.
No, c'est impossible. Ooh. Like that's their natural, like your natural position. Even like when you're there, because you know how humans we're like advanced monkeys, right? We mimic each other. So you start doing this,
Oui, c'est vrai. It's very sexual, and that's why Americans are hesitant to speak French because they feel like they might be coming on to people. When you do that with your mouth, you can attract a lot of attention. So it's like, no, I'm not going to speak French. I'm good. I'm good. Leave me alone.
Right. So I think I gave you the Bitcoin price. I don't know. A lot of people do care about it. We have a lot of newbies in the Bitcoin Telegram group that we run called Orange Pill Podcast Telegram. Just go to Telegram, t.me/Orange Pill. And we do have a lot of newbies who, it's like we're old cynical people, like not just like, but like been around in Bitcoin for a long time. So I understand. I'm getting old and cynical. I remember what it's like. I mean, it is, terrifying with your first collapses, though. Our first like 80 and 90% collapses happened in 2011 and 13 when it didn't seem like that much.
It went from $30 to $1.
Yeah. But you didn't have it wasn't like a huge thing because the whole market cap was only like $5 million.
Yeah.
So it just felt like, oh, well, collectively we all lost 5 million. Big deal. Right.
Yeah. And then the second one was from 1,000 to 250.
Yeah. Yeah. That felt a little bit more scary.
Right. Then they had 2,000 to just under 4,000.
And the one
20,000.
The drop from 1,000 to 250 was when Safety Namus wrote to me and he wanted to know how to buy Bitcoin in Beirut, and I told him to go to local Bitcoins, but because that was all that was available. The infrastructure back then was very limited. So I had the email and I said, well, it fell from $1,000 to $600, and don't yell at me. Don't get angry with me if it keeps on going lower. But I told him how to buy it. And then I was like really worried about him being angry with me. It did go down to 250.
Right.
But, this is the way Bitcoin is because it's volatile because, there's resistance and people don't want to change their, adapt, right? This is the new currency, right? The dollar's going out, the euro's going out, and people are resistant to that idea because then they have to change their life. They have to do different things, do things differently, have a lower time preference. Like they're used to spending on credit cards and being in debt and all this stuff and relying on where's my money, right?
Look, the only fish that go with the flow are dead fish. Right? That's the US dollar. It goes with the flow because it's
right.
dead. It's dead.
I get it.
Right? Bitcoin is alive. So it's going against the flow because it's alive, like Frankenstein or Godzilla or a new volcano, a new planet, the birth of a new planet. Think about the birth of the solar system, the Big Bang. They call it the Big Bang for a reason. It was a fucking Big Bang. It wasn't like the stable bang, right? 14 billion years ago,
bang.
we had the gentle, stable bang. And after that came the snooze fest of God, who got around to creating stuff, maybe. And then crocodiles came and they meandered onto the savannah and they said hello to the tigers. And then we invented the dollar. And then we all buried ourselves under paper money. The end.
Well, with Max saying that's the end, I'm going to look quickly at the comments. If anybody has super interesting something to say.
Something interesting.
If it has to be interesting to delay the end of this
podcast.
It
better be good. It better be good. It has to be like the cock ring of comments.
There's a whole bunch of comments about tequila and Stacy and why aren't I drinking any? But we're not going to XRP shitcoin. No, we're not going to talk about that. Tequila. Chad Moss has been like nonstop tweeting, messaging about tequila.
Really?
Oh my God.
We ran out of tequila. That's the problem. So we're going to bring back more tequila by the next microdose.
Okay. This is definitely going to get Max to stand up and walk away.
No kidding.
James Gillespie is saying, tell a joke, Stacy.
Oh, okay. It's been great seeing y'all. And I'll tell you an easy joke.
Okay. Tell an easy joke, and then I'm going to press this button and end this broadcast.
Okay. Guy goes to the doctor and says, Doc, some days I feel like an igloo and a wampum. Sometimes I feel like a tent. And no, I forgot this joke.
You see, he blames me for talking about it. I tell you.
I forgot it. I'll figure it out by next time.
Next time, Max will tell the joke. Cool joke, bro. Cool joke. I blame the social justice warriors. They shut down all comedy, and now Max has forgot.
I lost my comedy.
Like if you're not
forgot all my jokes.
If you're not training your comedic muscle, like you forget it all. Like all you have left is sunbathing your perineum.
Yeah, somebody took my funny bone.
Wave goodbye to the people. Thank you so much for all the smashing that like, and this is fun.
Yeah.
Like, ha ha ha, funny, hun, ha ha ha.
Very funny. Super funny.